yeah, I was just on the internet and I was looking for like art jobs. And I was on a vacancy board, job board, and yeah, I came across a post about someone looking for models that was at Open Ealing. And I was like, wow, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I always wanna like shock myself at times. Yeah, people perceive me to be confident. I just can talk. I think it's nice people seeing me beautiful and not sexualizing it, my body as well. I had my first life modeling gig. I remember getting there and everything, I felt very calm, I wasn't nervous. Got changed, put my robe on, and then I was like, I kind of had a minute where I froze. And you had to do some poses, but I just didn't know what poses I was or shapes I was gonna make. And then it dawned on me that I was gonna get naked. And I think it's in those moments where you panic. You want to like run off and hide, but I had no choice. I just kind of leaned into it, I fell into it, and yeah, took my clothes off and stood there for 5 minutes. Just made whatever shape I thought would be cool. Anything outside of corporate or just leans towards like art, you know, well, within my experience, people don't take seriously or don't think that you can actually build a profession from it. Oh, you just stand there nude and people draw you, you know? Artists are fascinated by the human body because it comes in different shapes and sizes. I think, yeah, there are just so many unique parts and characteristics to a person's body, whether they have a disability or not, skin color, folds, how a nipple may look from one person to another, genitals, same way, hands, someone's aura as well. I've been quite comfortable and confident in my body and being naked for a very long time. But I will say, like, I just tend to not like be so fixated on things that are just don't matter. You know, if I'm not trimmed down there, or if my legs are hairy, and if my toes are not done, or things like that, like, all of that just doesn't matter. You're there to pose. There are things that people see that you don't see. There are things that you're drawing attention, or that you're paying too much attention to that some people just don't care about. Sometimes I sleep. That's one thing I love about life modeling. When I'm able to do a seated, like lying down pose, I get to sleep. They know I'm sleeping. And sometimes I give them a heads up, like, oh, you guys have got me lying down, so I'm gonna sleep. Or don't be surprised. But if they've asked me to try to stay awake, then I'll try to stay awake, but I'm sleeping. I don't know, it just helps you to be still. You have no choice but to stand still, be still. And it helps you observe your thoughts, so that's good. So it's been good for my mental health as well. The setting, the scene, it's nice.